Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at some of the most and least loved car brands. Because by the looks of everything, Rivian has topped the list. On this particular list, this is CR Consumer Report. Now yesterday, the Rivian CEO posted this on his Twitter account, and it was a simple tweet. All it said was, "Great work team." And it just showed an image with owner's satisfaction by brand. Brands are ranked on the average percentage of owners who said CR member survey that they would buy the same vehicle again. So this is based on CR member survey. I don't think this is as global. And in terms of region in the USA, I don't know how well versed it is. But what I do know is that Rivian seems to be number one at the top, with 86% owner would buy again. That's kind of wild. So what else do we have? We've got some obvious ones. Second place is Mini. Third place, BMW. Fourth place, Porsche. Fifth place, Tesla. And after that, you've got Genesis, Lexus, Subaru, Ram, and Honda. These are some very interesting choices. Immediately, I was wondering, okay, where's Mercedes? Where's Polestar? Where's Volvo? So for that, we've kind of have to take a look at the longer list, which becomes even more interesting as it goes along. Some of the brands I expected to be at the top were actually a lot lower down. But let's read into what this article has to say. This year, the EV automaker Rivian, with his R1S and R1T, takes Tesla former perch at the top of our brand satisfaction list. It's joined by a number of other luxury automakers frequently found in the top 10, including BMW, Porsche, Tesla, Genesis, Lexus, along with the mainstream automaker Subaru, Ram, and Honda. The biggest move up of the list came from Mini, which jumped 11 spots to number 2. Just based on reading this first paragraph, what it seems like is that this list frequently moves up and down on a yearly basis. And I'm not surprised. Consumers are always buying new cars on a yearly basis, new consumers as well. So it's ought to change from time to time. Mini is a perfect example of that. It also says some automakers have a model or two that ranks amongst the most satisfying vehicles, while the rest of their lineup falls short in eyes of owners. With a handful of manufacturers consistently please buyers across most of their lineups. Consistency matters because automakers' lineups aren't static. Some models barely change over the years, and that's a good point. But many undergo redesign every few years and other brands or new offerings. An automaker that consistently earns high satisfaction scores in its lineup has a record of strong redesign and brands new models that will fulfilling owners' expectation. Let's take a better glance at this order list. Now at 11 you got Chevrolet, 12 is Toyota, 13 you've got Hyundai. Now they did mention that Mini made it up 11 places based on the last report. So Mini must have been in 12, exactly where Toyota is. And last time I checked, Mini and Toyota sells very different cars in very different quantity and very different quality as well. Minis are not known for their reliability, while Toyota are known for their reliability. Mini is known for being a little bit premium, very nice cars, very specific for a certain audience. Kind of like Volvo, but they have a more modern appeal. Mini certainly has a more modern appeal because, you got a lot of people who just really love Mini and, what the brand stands for right now. Now, 15, you got Ford, 14, Acura, GMC is 16, Mazda is 17, and here we are. We got Volvo in 18th with an overall satisfaction score of 66%. So keep in mind, last time, Mini was 12, and that must have been approximately around where Toyota is, of course, around 69, while Volvo is 66%. So this can easily change. Companies like Rivian, they're planning to bring out new vehicles like the R2 with that new platform. They're bringing out new vehicles, 2026? Quite an exciting time for Rivian. But what's also exciting is for what's for Volvo as well, what's in store for them. They got the EX30 and the EX90. Speaking of which, the EX90, that is an interesting competitor to the R1S. So naturally, I want to take a slightly further look at the R1S. I think this is a very similar competitor to what Volvo will be offering with the EX90. very similar in size, third rows, and they're both large SUVs, offering slightly different things. You can't help but notice that these vehicles will be very competitive towards each other. They're both fully electric, by the way. Now, in terms of sizes of these vehicles, I think they'll be very similar in sizes. Very different offerings. Volvo being Swedish, it's extremely European, of course, and Rivian being from the USA, it has a more American style to it. But they're both big vehicles, very, very big vehicles. In fact, I think this might be the largest SUV Volvo has ever made. And it's fully electric. And you can see it takes on a slightly different aesthetic from what you can expect to get from a Polestar, especially the Polestar 3, since they share the same platform. Interior-wise, like I said, 3 rows. And it's not the first time. This is nothing new for Volvo to be offering 3 rows. This is actually very normal for them. But I think in terms of aesthetic, they're both extremely competitive. In terms of luxury, Volvo will win in that space. But in terms of tech, usability, modernization, I think that's more up the street of Rivian, because they're more similar to Tesla. But don't get me wrong, Volvo has a few hidden surprises as well. I'm not sure if you've seen these headlights before, but these things unfold. I've never seen headlights unfold. These ones do. I don't want to know what it's going to cost for these headlights. I really don't want to know what the replacement is like on these headlights. But this car seems to drag a lot of attention. It really does. It really has. I mean, Volvo cars, especially the large SUVs, have been known to do that anyway. So truth to be told, shouldn't be too surprised. They do have their differences though, and that's the nice thing, is that they have their differences in offering, and that's what people want. People want something different options. But I can see how both vehicles are obviously going to be competitors towards each other. And one of the target audience for Volvo vehicles is the US. They target the US extremely heavily, especially like the XC Recharge, the XC40, I believe, Recharge. Those things, they are loved in the US. Don't get me wrong, they're loved over Europe as well, which is why I'm surprised that I saw Volvo so far down on the list. But that list gets more crazy as you read more into it. As we go further down on the list, you can see probably one of my favorite brands, if not my favorite, Mercedes, in 24th, with a consumer rating 59%. Now, like I said, this is just based on this particular company, CR Consumer Report. I don't know where they're getting their data from, and I don't know what this data tells us without context. Data on its own isn't data at all without context. So there might be some context to this data that hasn't been published. But what it is, it's certainly a great PR opportunity for Rivian. And maybe the data backs up. It's fully truth. You know, maybe in the US right now, this is what the consumers are liking. Maybe that's truth. But you can understand my doubt. Brands like Mercedes are not usually this far down on the list. Brands like Volvo, known for their safety, not usually this far down. But then again, like they said, you know, Mini was 11 places down, around where Toyota is right now. So it looks like the consumer market is just, the opinions, they change very regularly, which is why I believe there must be something addition to this data that can help it make a lot more sense. Because right now, data on its own doesn't make much sense at all. Infiniti in 29th, 43% in terms of satisfaction. Volkswagen, 51% in terms of satisfaction. I mean, what more can you ask for? But it's a great opportunity for some Rivian publicity. But just before we end this video, I wanted to touch on Rivian's hidden value. It's something that we don't really talk about quite often, and that's the charging network, the adventure network. This is quite an impressive feat by Rivian that they've built up this much in the past 2 to 3 years. Got to remember, they started delivering vehicles properly, I believe, in 2022 or 2021. I believe it might have been 2022. So it hasn't even been a full 5 years. And they're already building out quite an impressive layout of adventure chargers, and more are coming to places around New York State, Washington, places around there, a couple in Texas, California, those places. So Seattle, the list goes on. So it's quite interesting. But we often don't remind ourselves that it's also a company with a charging network, with its own charging network. That's such a unique offering these days. It is a unique offering because more and more infrastructure is needed to support EVs. That's where we'll end this video. We're not ready to talk about the Rivian shares because it's not Monday. We're waiting until Monday, then we can talk some more about the Rivian shares, but it's still an undervalued company for me. Thank you for watching, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.